हेलो नमस्कार एंड वेलकम टू टॉकिंग पॉइंट ब्लैंक। नाउ टॉकिंग पॉइंट ब्लैंक पे आज मैं एक बहुत मुख्तसर छोटी सी एक बात करूंगा विच इज़ पर्टेनिंग टू वेरी लेटेस्ट डेवलपमेंट विच हैज़ हैपेंड इन लद्दाख। आज लद्दाख में जो है प्रोटेस्ट हुए हैं और ये प्रोटेस्ट जो है ये वायलेंट प्रोटेस्ट हुए हैं विच इज़ वेरी अनहर्ड इन लद्दाख। और उसमें द प्रोटेस्टर्स हैव वैंडलाइज्ड the BJP office. They have set it on fire. They set it up a police vehicle on fire. There was stone pelting in Ladakh. The police and the CRPF had to use tear gas shelling and beaten charge to disperse the protesters. But ऐसा क्या है कि Ladakh, which is basically known for a very peaceful community, Ladakhis are extremely peaceful. Last, I remember violence in Ladakh was about 3 decades ago when there was a clash between two communities, the Buddhists and Muslims in Ladakh in I think it was late 80s or early 90s. It's very unheard of that Ladakhi would actually come onto the street and basically become violent. Now today's protest was also called in by Sonam Wanchuk. He's been on a fast of 35 days. For 6 schedule demand for Ladakh and a separate statehood demand for Ladakh. Now, let's be very clear on Ladakh and how Ladakh has been turning up. Since the beginning and before the terrorism, even when terrorism started engulfing the state of Jammu and Kashmir, which Ladakh was part of, Ladakhis always had one very clear demand that they wanted to be separated from Jammu and Kashmir, and they wanted a separate UT for Jammu and Kashmir, for themselves, for Ladakh. And that demand was met after the abrogation of Article 370. Ladakh was given the UT and everybody in Ladakh celebrated. The man behind this drama in Ladakh, where this, it has become a political moment of 6 schedule, demand and the statehood demand, stems from somebody who shot into fame from movie called Three Idiots. If you remember that Funsuk wala, Sonam Wanchuk. Wanchuk initially was, credited with being an innovator and doing a lot of stuff. But as time went, more and more, Wangchuk started getting his mask revealed more and more. Now, Wangchuk ne, he made those ice stupas, which was he called an innovation in his own village, but then there was a lot of accusation, not only accusation, which is true also, there a lot of plastics were used into that. Now, Ladakh is one place where you cannot carry any plastics, but despite that, the use of plastics was really bothering the local villagers and the local community there. Now, Wangchuk also went ahead and started a university, HAIL करके एक university उसने खोली थी जो 2017 में, which he wanted to start. He wanted Ladakh government to give him the land. The land cost was 17 crores. Wangchuk, in fact, never applied for any recognition of that university till about 2021. So 4 साल के लिए he took the land from the government. He went ahead with the construction of the building, but he never applied for UGC accreditation or any other accreditation for his university. But then he admitted about 450 students in that university, taking fees and taking money from them. But at the end of the day, what kind of degrees he's giving out to them, nobody knows because they're not recognized. So he's misled those students as well. But behind that is a far more sinister program in which we call the global left, or the global left, which is always looking at creating disruptions within India. Don't forget that Wangchuk was very recently in Pakistan for a climate summit in Pakistan. And the moment he came back from Pakistan, we saw protests happening in Maharashtra for, a Save River protest, and he was a part of that. And then he went to Ladakh, and he went ahead and he declared a 35-day fast, saying that it's a 6 schedule is a right for the Ladakh. Now, look, a 6 schedule is a very, very contentious issue. I'm not saying that Ladakhis don't deserve 6 schedule, but at a time when the BJP government is actually thinking of taking 6 schedule completely out from everywhere in the country, to make that kind of a demand is something which is premature. And the biggest thing is that there is already talks going on between the center government and this Ladakh, this group, which is basically asking, you can say it a civil society group, you can call it a political group. It's already political backed. There are politicians which are involved. Politicians like Sajjad Kargali is involved into it. The Kargalis are involved into it. There is a backdrop to all of this. This is a political, social movement, but more of a political movement than a social movement, which is basically nothing but, I would say in larger terms, opposition of BJP in Ladakh. Now, BJP has been able to hold fort in Ladakh. We see the Hill Development Council of Ladakh. That's an autonomous body, both in Kargil and in Ladakh, and they have powers. And most of the governance in Ladakh happens through these Hill Development Councils. So it's not that Ladakh is totally misrepresented in the form of public representation when it comes to public representation in Ladakh. But now they want a statehood where they want a legislation, and that is something which I don't think is a point of contention where everything has to go and become so violent for that kind of a demand to come forward. At the end of the day, it is the moment for statehood is far more serious. The demand is far more taken seriously by people in Jammu and Kashmir. But then in Jammu and Kashmir also, we have not seen people coming out on the streets protesting for statehood the way Wangchuk and his you can say ilk and his group has been voraciously advocating for this thing on the streets of Ladakh, while Sonam Wanchuk very innocently sits on a fast of 35 days and preaches non-violence. But what it is a classic left textbook effort where you yourself appear to be non-violent, you yourself appear to adopt non-violent measures and means to engage with the government, but at the same time, beneath the surface, you are actually influencing the young minds, the young population, the youth of Ladakh to take onto the streets to create halla bulla, and then eventually that has led to violence today as well. So I think it's not as simple as it seems when it comes to the sixth schedule demand and the statehood demand in Ladakh. It seems to be a bigger ploy to unrest that region. And yes, Sonam Wanchuk is somebody who is really a person of interest in all this, and his allegations of as I said, his university from 17 crores, his liability ballooned to 30 crores when the government literally had to go ahead and cancel his allocation of the land. Not only that, even people from his own village had written a petition. I've seen that letter where about 2,000 signatures are there, where people said they need to cancel his land allocation because he has played with the sentiment of people. He has lied to the people. So it's not that simple, and he's not that clear an activist where it comes to, but it seems like a sinister plot where there could be powers behind powers, wheels behind wheels, which are operating to create some sort of unrest in this region, especially in Ladakh region, to because we know the proximity with China, we know Galwan happened, we know the geopolitical moorings, what is happening in Jammu and Kashmir, in Ladakh, we know Pakistan's involvement in Jammu and Kashmir. And I'm really surprised that this man actually went to Pakistan to attend a conference on climate change, when honestly any Indian activist would be thinking 10 times before going to Pakistan and basically attending or participating into something which the Pakistanis are doing on a track to, on the sidelines of track 2, or trying to create a track 2. So I think there's a lot more to this story than just a simple demand of sixth schedule or the statehood. I think there are powers behind it who really want to create unrest into India, who really want to create these small pockets of unrest in different parts of India. We've seen this happening in Shaheen Bagh. We have seen this, textbook model applied elsewhere as well. So it is nothing new that we are seeing, and I think Ladakh is the new, place of interest where all this has suddenly erupted. And people who know the region in a sense, who have been following news from Ladakh, it's not very surprising what has happened, because this has been brewing for a very long time. If you look at the way Sonam Wanchuk and these parties which have been opposing, which are main opposition of the BJP and main opposition of the BJP, basically, I would say. They have been trying to brew unrest by trying to, woo the common masses into one form of conspiracy theory to any political grievance. They're trying to cash in onto all those political grievances which they think they can sell to the common masses in Ladakh. And that is exactly what has happened there, and this has culminated into violence. Now, it is for the Ladakhis to think whether the violence is going to serve them any purpose, or they want to disassociate themselves from the violence and look at it from a very fresh perspective and a very fresh approach. If it's a demand which is a just demand, no demand is an unjust demand. When it's within the constitution, every demand is a just demand, but just demand is also met in the just way. So if there was a dialogue happening with the center, there was no reason for anybody to come out on the streets and create ruckus on the ground just because the dialogue might be taking its time, or it's slowing down, or there are powers behind it, and you're failing to see what the real motive of people sitting behind this movement or leading this movement onto the ground have in their mind. So don't become the fodder for this, is what I would very humbly suggest to the young population of Ladakh. But at the same time, I think the central government really needs to take this issue very, very seriously. It cannot be brushed under the carpet and just being seen as some random incident happening in Ladakh. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, please share it with your friends and family. Help me to grow this channel by asking them to subscribe for the channel. You can also contribute by becoming members from super chats and super thanks. And if you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section, and I will definitely try to answer as many questions as I can. Till that time, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.